projection.
It's Friday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And we apologize for being off last week. What had happened was your boy was having a little bit of a mental health episode and just needed to take some time off work. And Patrick and I usually record after work on Thursday. And I took some time off to get my head right and go see some friends, play some music, and just generally do a whole lot of drinking for a few days. So sorry, not sorry. I needed some time off, and the podcast ended up being a victim of that, and I do apologize for that. But we're going to get right back into it this week. It's been a pretty fun week. We probably won't cover anything from Rampage from last Friday night, but there were a little bit of things we want to talk about from Friday Night Smackdown. And of course, we're going to talk about the Bloodline and the Honorary Uso, who was actually deemed Sami Uso that night.
Well, almost, if Jay don't get his act together. if Jay don't start feeling Uso, it's gonna be he gonna be Sami Uso. What a fucking great segment that was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the best segments of the year. And you want to talk about the chemistry that all those guys have together. I mean, to me, if you want to rank, like, the best professional wrestlers on the planet right now, I think it's only three guys, and you can put them in any order you want. It's Roman Reigns, it's Sami Zayn, and it's MJF. It's Roman for his presence and his aura as just being, like, he feels like a fucking world champion. Like, his stature, the physique, everything, he just exudes this level of confidence. And then Sami Zayn for just being absolutely hilarious. And being great in the role that he's in. He's just endlessly entertaining. And then MJF for, you know, being a villain who's kind of doing some stuff that we haven't seen villains do in professional wrestling before, you know? So, yeah, but this segment, Friday night, last Friday, where you have Jay and Jimmy and Roman, you know, cracking up, breaking character in front of the camera was just great stuff.
And you could kind of, it felt like you could see Sammy kind of,
he was teeing up for it.
He was teeing up, yeah. He was leaning into it a little bit.
He's like, I got one in my pocket right here. I'm gonna let it
He's like,
it.
I don't think he's been very oozy lately.
The best thing, I've watched that segment so many times, the best thing is to just focus, like watch it multiple times and focus on each individual person's reaction, because the first person that breaks is Jimmy in the background. He puts his hand over his mouth because he knows what's coming when it gets quiet. He's like, here comes the fastball, the high heat. And Sammy just delivers it perfectly. I mean, just a great segment.
So we know WWE is more scripted than like AEW, so you think that was one he snuck in?
Oh, yeah. I think that they maybe, you know, I forget where I read this, and I think I told you this. Like, somebody mentioned that, you know, when they have rehearsals, Sammy will say one thing, but when they get out in front of the cameras, he purposely says something else to try to get them to break.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's doing such a great job at it. And the camera work, my God, the camera work was just top-notch for this segment. I don't know who's producing it, but just the zoom in on Roman's face when Jay says he doesn't give a damn about the tribal chief, to the zoom in on Sammy's face when Roman says we're going to call him Sami Uso, and he looks like a child at Christmas, right?
Yeah, the whole, because, you know, Roman was facing away from him, and he says, I don't give a damn about the tribal chief.
Yeah.
And then you see Sammy's eyes bug out.
Yeah, everybody.
And Roman is like, motherfucker, what'd you just say? He turns around real slow.
Just great. And, you know, I don't know how you don't watch that segment and come away from it thinking, yeah, the WrestleMania main event should be Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn.
Ain't no way it's anything different.
I don't know how it does.
And if it is, they botched the whole fucking year.
In my opinion, I think that's the case. Just because, listen, the Bloodline, you know, they're heels, but they're not heels, right? They're getting chanted. The whole fans are doing the acknowledge me thing. So there's only one person on that roster that can get people to boo Roman Reigns again, and that's Sami Zayn. When they do the final turn on Sami Zayn and they kick him out, you are going to have the biggest babyface in wrestling that you've had in probably since Brian Danielson, right, in his run 10 years ago. So I just don't know how that you don't see that as the main event. It's so clear in my eyes that I'm kind of shocked that other people don't think that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, I will keep watching this bloodline. You know, Saturday they have coming up Crown Jewel. You know, Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. I would be absolutely shocked if Logan Paul beats Roman Reigns. I don't foresee that happening. So I think Roman's going to carry this thing till WrestleMania. But you know, I'm invested, hook, line, and sinker. This has been, you know, it's been one of the things that's got me back into WWE. So it just continues to be great. And these guys are. This is something that we're going to look back 5-10 years from now and be like, oh man, that was such a good time in wrestling. You know.
Yeah, so let's get into the Bray Wyatt segment also for the evening. They continue to do the interruptions with him, and it's pretty cool. Like, they're doing something cool, but at some point, he's got to put hands on somebody, or he's got to have some sort of interaction, right?
Yeah, so it was the Uncle Howdy reveal, which, again, it's cool. It's kind of like a guy in a weird-looking mask, kind of uncanny valley type thing they have going on. I mean, how much longer can they stretch this out, though? I mean, it is interesting. It's compelling.
Sure.
But, you know, it's wrestling. It's not Broadway, right? Like, at some point, somebody's got to try to get physical with somebody.
Yeah, and a lot of people seem to think that it could be his brother.
It could be, yeah. I mean, it sounded like Bray's voice, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But, I mean, it could be his brother under the mask. You know, they could just be throwing people off the scent at this point. I mean... Yeah, I hesitate to even try to venture where they go from here because, hell, I don't know, like, what's going on. But, you know, Bray is a special type of performer, and this is what he excels best in. You know, the matches a lot of the times aren't that great. He's serviceable in the ring, but he's not, you know, he's not a Kenny Omega or any of those guys, right? Seth Rollins, he's not that level of athleticism in the ring, but this is what he's the best at, and hopefully my only fear is that it gets kind of stale before we go anywhere with it. But again, he'll be at Crown Jewel Saturday. You know, maybe we get some more answers as to who his first feud is going to be against. Maybe he gets involved come Saturday.
Yeah. So anything else you think we should touch on from SmackDown, or do you want to move into Raw?
No, we can move on from Raw. Honestly, I don't even remember. It was Sami Zayn and Bray Wyatt. They got the Rey Mysterio stuff going with Gunther. That's kind of cool. I think Gunther smacked the shit out of him backstage. That dude's Gunther's a fucking stud.
Yeah.
I love that guy a lot. But yeah, we can move on to Raw. Did you watch Raw at all?
No.
There's only a handful of things. I think Seth Rollins and Austin Theory kind of tore the house down for 15 minutes. You know, Austin Theory has this Money in the Bank, but they've kind of just emasculated him. He's kind of like a goofball.
Yeah.
But the dude can fucking go in the ring. And
I think part of that, I wonder, is like if they're just trying to get his attitude right, because I heard he was kind of a jerk off.
Oh, is he? See, I haven't heard about that. I mean, there's no doubt his talent in the ring. And he looks like $1 million, and I think he's only 25, 26, so... I mean, shit, if I looked like that and was making that kind of money at 24, 25, fuck it, I'd probably be kind of a dickhead too, you know? It comes with the territory. But he's good in the ring, so I don't know what they'll... You know, he's still got the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's still lingering out there. I don't know if somebody beats him and takes it from him or if he cashes in unsuccessfully or what, but they tore the house down. This JBL, Baron Corbin thing, just, it doesn't work for me whatsoever. I really like JBL. I think he's a good heel. But him coming out and running down millennials and Gen Z as being the problem with America, and then having Baron Corbin come out in his outfit, which is exactly like a Gen Z millennial outfit, like with the extravagant sort of get up that he's got going on, it's just a mishmash that doesn't work. Like, logically, it doesn't make sense. Like, JBL would hate this guy too. But Baron Corbin has some talent. They're trying to do something with him. Okay, well, I mean, we'll see how this goes. We got another Roman Reigns promo on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, shit.
Where The Miz came out and did some things, and he knocked The Miz out. But his promo walking back up the ramp, you want to talk about why this dude is a stud. I mean, he gave you 35 seconds where he's looking into the camera, and it's like some Muhammad Ali type heavyweight boxer stuff. You know, that line of, I'm tired of being humble. I'm tired of letting people think they got a chance. I run this, all of it. Like, that's great. Absolutely great stuff.
Okay, boss.
And just the growth that he's had from just where he was at 5-6 years ago to where he's at now. They've finally nailed this character, and kudos to everybody that has been involved in this rehabilitation project that is Roman Reigns, because it's paying off, you know, in high dividends. I mean, this dude he's a stud. I don't know what else you can say. Like, he's just a stud. And then what was the other thing? So Rhea Ripley is getting involved with some men's matches, which I think is kind of interesting. You know, we haven't seen really any big-time professional wrestling company do intergender matches on this kind of scale. We've seen it in a lot of the American indies. Candice LeRae, for example, who was on Monday Night Raw, was really a women's pioneer in that regard with PWG. I think they have something with Rhea Ripley here, getting involved. You know, she body slammed Luke Gallows a couple weeks ago. This week she gets involved again with a low blow. The problem is she's positioned as a heel, and as soon as one of these dudes gets physical with her, you're immediately going to make her a babyface, which I'm not saying is probably not that probably is the right way to go with her. I think she has a lot of potential. But for some reason in my head, I've just fantasy booked like her versus Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania, and she beats Dominic, and like I just think if you want to make Dominic a heel, like a big time heel, if he punches Rhea Ripley on one of these shows, the level of heat he's going to get will be astronomical.
Yeah, are you willing to put that on that kid?
Well, I mean, there's only two things you do with him. Either you do the match with him and his dad at WrestleMania, or you do the match with, you know, you break apart Rhea Ripley and Dominic, and you rip apart Judgment Day. Because, I mean, the Judgment Day right now, they're going up against, you know, Styles and the Good Brothers. How much longer does that last? We don't know. But, you know, Rhea Ripley's kind of doing nothing in the women's division. So if you're not going to have her challenge for the title, then you got to have her get physical with one of these dudes and have a match. And why not have it up against Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania, and she beats the shit out of him. And now you have a huge babyface star. You got basically the Brock Lesnar of the women's division. So, I think that's all I had from WWE, though.
All right.
It's still good stuff, although I think kind of the momentum for them has kind of slowed down. You know, when Triple H first took over,
it was hot and heavy.
It was hot and heavy. There were a lot of people like, oh, you know, thank you, Triple H, all this stuff. That seems to have kind of died down a little bit online, which is understandable, right? Like, you can't.
Sure. I mean, how long can you sustain that?
Yeah, you can't have bangers all the time.
They can't all be Cowboys.
They can't all be Cowboys, right?
And that's a good segue, because last night for AEW Dynamite was fine. It was a good show. I'm not trying to shit on it, but you know, about a month ago, we had a real strong run of 4 or 5, 6 shows in a row that we just every week it was a fucking banger. And last night was okay. Not any matches we're going to be talking about for a while or anything, I don't think. But
is Ricky Starks
some good stuff.
Is Ricky Starks dead?
He might be, because they sure as fuck aren't putting him on TV.
What's going on?
You know, I kind of wondered that. I was like, well, are they just letting the Jungle Boy thing die out? And then he showed back up. He'd been off for a couple, 3 weeks, it seems like, but I could be wrong about that. But
so this show had no Ricky Starks, no Eddie Kingston,
yeah,
no MJF, who's involved in literally the biggest story in the company now.
In 2 weeks.
It's wrestling for the thing. Was barely any. They ran a recap package of him getting put through the table, and they did a backstage segment with William Regal where he gave like a little 25-second thing, but really was hardly talked about on the show.
Yeah.
This was basically another ROH show.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem, right?
Yeah, you know, I get it if you're trying to push ROH big time, because it feels like the only reason that they should be doing this is that a TV deal is imminent. Otherwise, you're just fucking around at this point, because there's lots of other matches and angles that could be carried.
The pay-per-view's in 2 weeks. We have 2 matches.
Give us some fucking Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston, and I mean, fuck, there's so many other people that could be wrestling right now, and we've got Ring of Honor every week. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to shit on it too bad, but let's get into it. We got Darby Allin first versus Jay Lethal. And this one was okay. You know, we hadn't seen Darby in a few weeks. Like, he had kind of put it out there that he wished that he could disappear for a little bit, meaning he's basically on TV every week, right? and like every once in a while, like maybe he'd like to not have to be on TV,
or maybe not get thrown over the barricade.
Yeah.
And get hit with guitars over the head. So I wrote down. The match was fine, by the way.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
people know how I feel about Jay Lethal, and we'll talk about what happened after the match with Double J coming in. But we say this all the time with Darby: here for a good time, not for a long time. This dude won't make it in the wrestling ring till he's 35. I don't know how old he is, 27, 28 or something. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it ain't gonna last long. He took a bump over the table into the barricade, so that's one. That's a big time bump. He took an apron bump, which hurts like hell. He then took what was either going to be a backdrop or a flapjack, I don't know which, and turned out to be neither, and he just spiked down on top of his head during the commercial break from about probably 15 feet high. Thought he knocked himself out. He ended up being fine. Then he did the bump off of Satnam, where he was doing the dive, and Satnam just stood there, and he took that bump, so nobody caught him. And then at the end, he takes the guitar shot from Jeff Jarrett. And was bleeding a little bit. I don't know if they put
he was laying in a fucking puddle of blood. Now, whether that was fake somehow,
yeah, so I don't know if that was a pack. It looked like it was probably a pack because he had it on his hand too.
Okay.
So maybe it was a pack that he smacked up against the back of his head. Who knows? But I mean, that guitar shot, like, even though it's gimmick, that still has to hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're gonna get hit. Like, it's gonna break over your head, but it's gonna something's gonna scratch you on the goddamn face or the chest or the back of the head. So there's loose parts flying around, right?
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, Darby needs some time off. I like him a lot, and I've said before, like, if I was 13 or 14, he'd by far be my favorite wrestler.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of love for Darby. I mean, I don't think Darby's fucking great, but
yeah.
We're gonna kill my man's.
Yeah, we got. I think somebody needs to get in his ear and just be like, "Hey, we don't have to do this all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, we can save it a little bit for pay-per-view, but those are 4 or 5 big time bumps.
Yeah.
And like that'll add up quickly. Your bump card's only got so much in it.
Right.
Obviously, the big thing out of this though was Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of negativity online last night about why this. And then somebody else ran down a list of all the companies that he's worked for in the last year.
Oh, he's getting that bag this year.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, this is pretty impressive. And then, people were talking about him carrying the Ric Flair last match and stuff like that. And I don't know much about Jeff Jarrett. I remember when I was watching WWE a few years ago, he came back in and did a match or two. And I was like, who's this dude? And then, I've learned a little bit more about him over the last year or so, but not much. But I knew instantly when he's standing there. I was like, oh, it's Jeff Jarrett. And then obviously he had a guitar, so that was helpful. But I mean, dude is still fucking ripped.
Yeah.
And he's still really good with a microphone.
Yeah, and I'm gonna hold out before I come down one way or the other on this. I will just say I have a sneaking suspicion that come February we're going to be on this podcast and be like, hey, you remember when Jeff Jarrett hit Darby Allin over the head with a guitar back in November? Like,
yeah.
Remember how nothing came from that? Because it feels like AEW does so much of this stuff, right? Where something will pop off.
Yeah.
And then in 6 weeks, you're like, Dan Lambert, you remember him? Like, where'd he go?
I think part of the problem with last night was he came out and made the big proclamation about how he was there's going to be a lot of body bags and this, that, and the other. But, they said not too long after the end of the show, on Twitter, that he was signed for like head of talent relations or some sort of
or a business something.
Yeah, it was a similar role that he had to WWE in the last few years. But so, if that's the case, like, we don't need those people on TV every week, like, and we don't need you out there making big proclamations. Come out there, make a statement, maybe get in the ring a couple times, and then just disappear and do your job. Right? We got too many other fucking people that can be wrestling every week.
Yeah, I mean, if they do something interesting with it, though, like, it'll be cool. Yeah, I would like to see Jay Lethal have a more prominent spot in the company, but my thing is, see, Jeff Jarrett did his little promo last night. Basically, in so many words, he was like, I'm going to exert my will on AEW and this roster. Well, that's the same exact story that we're trying to tell with the Firm.
Yeah.
That's the same exact story that we're trying to tell with the Blackpool Combat Club to some extent. Like, it's the same story that all these things are having.
Yeah.
And so, once again, our AEW Needs Writers litigation folder had some more stacks put in it last night because there's a lot of just sameness that happens on this show quite a bit.
Yeah.
And just from a narrative point, you're like, my God, can we do something else a little bit? And I think the reason we're so much more critical of AEW than we are WWE is that because like we know the mechanics of WWE, right? It's there to turn a profit, and it's this big, humongous corporation, and like they have to play within a PG television rating, so there's certain things you just can't do. AEW has so much potential to just do really great things, and they've done really great things in the past.
Yeah.
So when we have these shows like this where for about 2 or 3 weeks now it's kind of just been frustrating, or we feel like we've just been spinning our wheels, you kind of go like, God, there's so much potential here. Like
Yeah.
we see the inklings of greatness, and then we just get things like what happened Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So it makes it frustrating, but I don't know.
I want to move, keep it moving a little bit. Then from there we go to the Elite package, and I don't know if they're trying to get in on the White Rabbit hype and do some sort of crazy thing with all that leading up to the return of the Elite. But whatever they're doing, it doesn't seem to be working for me.
It's not working for me either. I think it's cheesy.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what it is. I know obviously they're going in and removing the Elite from certain scenes and replacing things and this, that, and the other. And you got a little bit of a look into it last night with somebody sitting at the desk in front of an Avid edit system and so on and so forth. But like, I don't know. It seems like the timing, they'll come back at full gear.
Or they'll just come back eventually.
Yeah.
Like, to me, these packages don't do anything. It's not going to make the pop any bigger when they come back.
So, yeah, and also, but if they're doing that, like, why are they reporting that the Elite have been backstage the last 2 weeks? Like, why would you report that?
Yeah.
Who needs to know that?
Well, it's just, that's dirt sheet.
Yeah.
That's just dirt sheet stuff. They always do that.
I don't know.
But yeah, these packages are right. I mean, I'll give them credit for trying to do something creative and think outside the box. That's something that we've been pushing for. Not having everything just be a match in a backstage segment. You can tell other types of stories in different ways.
Yeah, but where they're missing on this, they really knocked it out of the park, and that's another one we'll get to towards the end of the show.
Right, which is just, the schizophrenia of this show.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
So the next match was, I don't want to spend any more than 30 seconds on it. Honestly, it was Moxley versus Moriarty. I can one of these days I'll figure out how I'm supposed to pronounce the name.
It's Moriarty.
I can't make my mouth work on that. It's fine. I don't know why we have to put Moxley out there versus somebody every week. Like, he's a fucking champ, man, and it feels like these interim things are just running him in the goddamn ground. And I wish they wouldn't do it. But that's really my only thoughts on that one from last night. I don't know. You're not telling a story in any sense.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one big highlight from this match is if you had any doubt in your mind who the biggest star in Baltimore is, it's clearly Lamar Jackson. I knew as soon as, before they even said it on the broadcast, and the arena started going crazy, I was like, oh, fucking Lamar Jackson just walked in the building.
Yeah.
And sat down and... yeah, he basically just took over the show for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the crowd was they started chanting MVP. And you saw heard Excalibur be like, oh, yeah, our MVP, John Moxley's like, nah, bro, ain't nobody care about this match right now. Lamar walked in the building. I guess the only thing from this is like, they're clearly trying to position Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway as the two big stars from the firm because Ethan Page got to go on commentary. Stokely Hathaway was out there. We saw Gun Club in this show, and we saw, I'm blanking on it, Morrissey. But yeah, Page and Stokely seem to be the guys who are going to be positioned as the top guys, and I'm not mad at it. Ethan Page kind of has everything, right? He's got the look, he's got the promo skills. He's somebody that we've been wanting to see more of. So if coming out of this, we get to see more Ethan Page, and he's positioned higher atop the card in AEW, I guess that'll be a good thing. But yeah, this match is what it is at this point.
So next up, there was the interview segment with Renee Paquette and Soraya, and Britt Baker was supposed to be there, and they had this whole stage drama about she didn't show up, this, that, and the other. She had a place later in the show. And the thing there was that, you know, she asked Soraya about coming back and the different atmosphere or whatever, and then, you know, she just got straight to the point, was like, are you going to wrestle? And Soraya said, well, I've got one more person I need to see next week, one more doctor to consult with.
Which will be Britt Baker.
Yeah.
That'll be it. The only thing I had from this segment is this is what you bring Renee Paquette in for. This was a perfect use of her, and she's such a Swiss Army knife. You can do so many things with her, and so having this set down thing was really great for as short as it is. It didn't run too long, so yeah.
Yeah, get in, get out.
Yep.
Keep it moving. And Renee's doing a fantastic job. You know, you can tell people like her backstage, and you know, you need that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's very helpful. So the next segment was the Daddy Ass birthday party. You know, they let some of these segments go just a little too long. It felt like it was getting. I was like, come on now, it's been funny, but it's starting to get a little boring. And then they started wrapping it up, and then the Ass Boys come out to interfere when he's about to sign the thing where he's adopting the Acclaimed, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so they come out and they're mad, and they come out and try to beat the shit out of everybody, and then FTR interferes basically just to be like, hey, we got an eye on those titles y'all are holding there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we love the Acclaimed. Every time their music hits, they get the biggest pop.
Listen!
They're a super over tag team. The reason why this segment fell off, though, is because literally, was it last week? Was it Rampage or Dynamite when Swerve went horror movie villain and fucking assaulted Billy Gunn? Was that 2 weeks ago? Yeah, we missed that part. So, like, hey, man, why are you out here celebrating when dude went damn near homicidal and fucking took pliers like it's a damn 1985 Sylvester Stallone or Schwarzenegger movie to some poor guy's fingers? Like, why are y'all not trying to get retribution?
It was funny that they used that angle in the storyline where his fingers are all fucked up to put a set of foam fingers on him.
Yeah.
There's new merchandise. Great unveil there. I'll give them points for that.
Yeah.
So that he can scissor with the foam fingers. That shit was funny. Props for that.
Yeah, that was great, but like, again, why does AEW need writers for stuff like this? Logically, this makes no sense. Why were they not on a warpath to try to find Swerve and beat the ever-loving shit out of him backstage last night?
Yeah, you took my man's fingers.
He broke his fingers.
Yeah.
Why was Swerve not suspended? You can just do that? You can kidnap people and break their fingers? Like, at least on, you know, WWE with the Dexter Lumis stuff, Dexter Lumis is not an employee of WWE, right? And he's kidnapping the Miz, which we'll come back around to that because they actually did. I completely forgot about that on Raw. They did a really good explanation about the Lumis stuff. Well, like, that's logically the Lumis stuff makes sense. This makes no sense. Swerve kidnapped Billy Gunn, broke his fingers, and then everybody just showed back up to work next week, acting like nothing happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, again, these logical jumps that I know it's wrestling, but still, it's got to make it make sense, you know?
Make it make sense, for sure. So next up, Jericho versus the former Ring of Honor champion. And it I don't want to say it became clear to me, but a couple days ago, I was like, okay, what if it's Colt Cabana? Because there was something in one of the headlines somewhere that said Colt Cabana said he's unsure if he's going to have a spot in the final Ring of Honor pay-per-view. And I was like, okay, well, why is that a thing? Unless there's going to be a situation happen. So I started thinking, well, he's going to be the guy that's the former champion. There were all these other speculations. So last night, they say, okay, here's Jericho, he's in the ring. He says, okay, well, now I'm going to fight a former Ring of Honor champion. And then you hear, boom, boom, and the music hits. And the crowd went pretty nuts. They were all chanting, welcome back, welcome back. I had a big fucking shit-eating grin on my face. I was like, this is good. And he's in full boom, boom gear, right? I loved it. I thought it was great that they brought him back. And it was a nice fuck you to Punk, I thought.
Well, yeah, they might as well have just ran a full screen graphic that said "Fuck you, CM Punk" right before this match.
Yeah, you ain't coming back.
Yeah, when his music hit and he came out, I started just laughing my ass off. Because Chris Jericho probably had something to do with this, right? The reports came out that Jericho approached Punk right after the brawl out and was like, "You're a cancer to this locker room." 2 weeks ago in a promo, he referenced, like, "This is my locker room. Nobody's going to take it away from me." So Jericho clearly has Tony Khan's ear. And I bet he was like, "Hey, just bring back Colt Cabana and put him in the ring with me." Because Colt goes from not having a match at all to wrestling one of the top 5 biggest stars in that company. Maybe top 2 biggest stars, depending on how you want to look at it. So, yeah, if this is not a fuck you to CM Punk, I don't know what it is.
At one point, I thought, wouldn't it be awesome if they put this belt on him?
Oh, I never thought they were going to do that.
I mean, I didn't think it seriously, but I was like, how cool would it be?
If they did do that, then that would be the biggest fuck you to CM Punk of all time. But I guess, there's only one way to read what happened last night, and that is that all this stuff that CM Punk said about him having nothing to do with Colt Cabana not working in AEW and that he didn't give a shit where he worked and yada, 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 all that had to be horse shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, come on. We're not fucking stupid.
Yeah, there's no other way to read what happened on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Punk leaves, or Punk is there, Colt's nowhere to be found. Punk leaves, Colt Cabana comes back. Therefore, the reason Colt Cabana wasn't there was because of CM Punk.
Yeah.
So, and it was a good match, and they should do something with Colt Cabana now. You've got a real interesting story you can tell here.
Yeah, like, do you put him back with the Dark Order? And I don't think you do, because then he's just kind of part of a thing that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's something. I think he could help carry Ring of Honor at one point. Like, if it feels like Ring of Honor is about to happen again for real, and like,
yeah,
man, put one of those belts on him, man. Fucking give him some glory.
They need to have shirts made that says, "I'm friends with Scott Colton." If anybody out there has a hookup with AEW, listen to me. This was an instant bestseller shirt. "I'm friends with Scott Colton." Just put Colt Cabana's face on there, and you will sell those shirts out immediately. I promise you.
Do it, because if you don't, we're gonna do it.
Well, we can't. Well, we would, but we can't.
I mean, it'll get taken down real fast. But,
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say about the match. I didn't even really want to talk about the match. I just want to talk about them bringing it back. So
yeah,
I feel like we could kind of move on. Next up, we had Luchasaurus versus Rey Fenix versus Orange Cassidy. There were some really good spots in this one, man. They had some spots where they're trying to make Luchasaurus look like a monster, and they did a pretty good job with that. Rey Fenix is always going to get in a couple of good spots, and Orange Cassidy, he'll look like he's getting the ever-loving shit beat out of him for a while, and then he gets something about him. They're giving him this whole thing at the end of his matches where, like, he doesn't get affected as much, and he got in some really good. They all got in some really good shit last night. The crossbody from Jungle Boy, where he took out Luchasaurus near the end of the match, was great, because something had to do that, obviously, because neither of these guys are going to pin Luchasaurus.
Right. Yeah, you gotta protect Luchasaurus in this match.
Yeah, so that was a really good job of that. And he took a few. Jungle Boy took a few steps. Jungle Boy Jack Perry took a few steps back into the tunnel and just hit him like a fucking thunderbolt,
like a middle linebacker.
Yeah,
filling the A gap.
Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, I mean, Orange Cassidy gets the win. And then we get a reveal from a mystery. And I don't guess it was mystery because they hit his music and played his video from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Is it Shibata?
Yeah. So he made the save for Cassidy at Forbidden Door and then has kind of gone away.
Yeah.
And so it looks like they're going to have a match Friday night, which I guarantee you will be a banger of a match. Orange Cassidy is a divisive figure, right, amongst the wrestling community. There are diehard fans, or diehard old school fans, who think he's literally the worst thing to happen to professional wrestling, a la like a Jim Cornette hates Orange Cassidy's guts. And then there are probably people like you and me who think that Orange Cassidy is a fucking star. And if you don't think Cassidy is a star at this point, I don't know what is going to convince you. His music is awesome. You have fans that dress up like him. He sells a ton of merchandise. He's over. Isn't that the whole point of wrestling?
Hey, he's fucking good.
Yeah, and like, he's never not been a fantastic professional wrestler in the ring. So I don't know, like, the people that are still hung up on Orange Cassidy and are like, oh, this dude is shit, he's not good. I just don't know if they're ever going to be convinced.
I'd really like to know if he realized early on that he wasn't going to be good on the microphone, and he was like, I got to have a gimmick to get around this, right? Because he doesn't have to be good on the microphone.
No, he has such a unique presentation that, plays with some of the mechanics that we've come to learn about professional wrestling, right? That's why the kicks work. We see the people who do the kicks and are supposed to, with the other wrestlers, those kicks really are supposed to hurt. But for Cassidy, he's playing with the babyface comeback and and all that stuff to psychologically get in people's heads. And I love him carrying the title in the backpack. That's such a unique thing to do there. And then just the fact that he's just like popping up in these things, is like, hey, I want to wrestle for this, and just like being put in these title matches. It's so great, man. He's so good. They've nailed this character. In the beginning, when he first was in AEW, if you'll remember, they didn't really know what to do with him. They didn't know how to present him correctly.
It was a nice slow burn because I didn't know shit about him, but I was interested in it.
Yeah.
When he started kind of, he was there with the best friends a lot, and they were trying to figure that out. And then he would get in the ring and just do I'm going to kick you, and then just tap you on the shin, and then his hands were in his pockets, and somebody would go to hit him, and he would just dodge, and his hands would still be in his pockets. And I started. They didn't give you too much, and then like his first big match, if I remember correctly, was against Pac on a pay-per-view. It's like a 7-8 minute match. It wasn't long. Pac beat the fuck out of him, but I was like, it was this whole thing of what's it going to look like when they let this guy unleash. And he spent the first few minutes of that match with his fucking hands in his pockets, But I thought it was a nice slow burn and build for that character. I don't know. I don't understand why anybody would hate it.
I mean, they've really honed in on what makes him special.
I'm sorry you don't like fun.
I mean, yeah. But you'll hear old school people all the time. Oh, it's the wrestling business, right? It's a business. It's about selling tickets and selling shirts. Well, fucking Cassidy's selling tickets and selling shirts, and people still don't like him. So, I guess it's just going to be a line in the sand. Either you're with it or you're not, and you'll never come over. So that's unfortunate.
So one of the things we talked about earlier was how they're missing the mark with the elite segments, the video packages, and that was a thing that we feel like they could do better on incorporating things like that in the show. Well, they fucking knocked it out of the park with the House of Black segment near the very end. I thought it had kind of gone to commercial, so I wasn't really paying attention.
Same here. I was like, oh, this is what is this? This is another TBS show they're about to debut or something?
Yeah, I was looking at my phone, and then I realized 30, 40 seconds in, I was like, wait a minute. Something's happening here. And then I was like, did they say House of Black? And I was like, what is going on? And then you see the flash of Malachi Black. And like, oh, well, he's back. I guess, or soon, will be soon, obviously.
At some point. I'm excited. I'm ready for him to come back.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Hopefully he's gotten all his issues squared away and is ready to come back. Because I think you and I both think he's a really talented performer.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, I felt like the trios titles would have gone to them originally.
They're what Death Triangle would have been. Death Triangle got the titles put on them because all the shit that happened at All Out with the backstage brawl. But that I 100% believe if Malachi would have been in the right headspace, that would have been them.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope he's had some time to recover and get right. It's a little shocking because when they said time off, I was like, well, and then there's rumors, oh, well, he really wants to go back to WWE and this, that, and the other, and I just expected sometime next year. I was like, because if he's going to take some time off, he's going to take some real time off. And it's probably only been a couple months, right?
It hasn't been a long time at all.
But I mean, good for him. I hope he's gotten some rest and gotten to kind of, get your mind right, son. But I mean, I would love to see him back in there, and I would love to see the House of Black back on TV.
And hopefully this has maybe been a nice little reset. So when they come back, it's the Malachi that we got when he was kicking the shit out of Cody Rhodes and squashed him, and he was looking like he was really about to elevate to the very top of the card.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of potential there for that group. And it's just the right amount of spooky and supernatural without it being childish and cartoonish. So, yeah. And now they have the added element of Julia Hart, which is something they didn't have when Malachi first came into AEW. So she's just another good part of that stable. So I'm excited about them coming back.
Yeah, I'm for it. I'm not against it. Let's the last one for the night was Brian Cage versus Samoa Joe. Good match. I thought at one point he might have damn near broken Samoa Joe's face with one. I don't remember the name of the move, but Samoa Joe damn near got planted on the mat, and it looked like it. I was like, his face is gonna get hurt, like a motherfucker tomorrow. But Brian Cage looks badass. He's got the personality of a fucking brick, but he looks great in the ring lately, and they've been giving him a little push, but I'm fairly certain he did the WWE sign with his hands last night in the air, a la Bret the Hitman Hart when he went to WCW. I don't know what his contract looks like, but it looked like he did the WWE sign last night. I don't know if y'all saw it. Holler at us at Alabama Slam Pod on Twitter.
Yeah, I missed it, if that was the case.
Somebody else on Twitter, I went looking for it. I searched Brian Cage and then just clicked latest on Twitter, and somebody else said the same thing. So I wasn't the only one that thought it. But yeah, it was a good match between these two guys, and set up for a little melee there at the end. And it looks like they're going to try to pit Powerhouse Hobbs against Samoa Joe soon.
Well, Powerhouse
or versus
a Wardlow.
Yeah.
This is fine. This can't be how we end a Dynamite 2 weeks before one of our big 4 pay-per-views, though.
Yeah.
This is a problem. Like, this should have been first, really. And they should have had a different main event that involved somebody else. Nothing against Samoa Joe and Brian Cage. It was a good match, but does anybody care going into Full Gear, Yeah. This is about Moxley and MJF versus William Regal and their little thing they have going on. So that is the main story, and therefore if that's the main story, that should be something to do in the main event. So, I'm just against it just on principle purposes, but, Wardlow versus Hobbs, that'll be cool. I'm glad that Hobbs is being presented as some kind of big threat, and hopefully it will break up this Warjoe tag team, which should have never been a tag team to begin with, or whatever the hell they're doing with them.
Yeah, I'm not for that.
So, yeah, we'll see. Overall, it was kind of a disappointing episode of Dynamite. Although I will say, for as much shit as I said that the Swerve stuff logically doesn't make any sense, their backstage segment with Rick Ross was hilarious. And I love that they're getting more hip-hop guys. It makes Swerve look like a bigger deal. And if I can just get Rick Ross shouting into a microphone accusations, false accusations every week, that's going to be such a good meme that I'm going to use from here on out. That segment was just fantastic. I was laughing my ass off the whole time. Does it make sense for what happened last week? No, because Swerve went from maniac to hobsnobbing with rappers in a span of a week.
Yeah.
But Rick Ross yelling accusations. He's my MVP of the night, Rick Ross.
Yeah. So we didn't do a Twitter prompt of the week this week. We wanted to cover a classic promo. Patrick asked me yesterday if I'd ever seen the Hard Times Dusty Rhodes promo from back in the day, and I hadn't. So I watched it yesterday and then on my lunch break, and then I went searching for other classic Dusty Rhodes promos and found a little segment from one of Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcasts where he was talking about that promo and how he had been a big fan of Dusty growing up, and his mother went to high school with Dusty, et cetera, et cetera. And then I watched the Hard Times promo again on my lunch break today. Just good stuff all around. I'm glad Patrick hit me to it and wanted to discuss it this week.
So this was, I guess it popped up on Twitter because last week was the anniversary of this promo. I think it was October 29th, 1985, something like that, around that time.
Shout out No Context Dusty Rhodes on Twitter.
Guys, if you're not following No Context Dusty on Twitter, do yourself a favor and follow that. It is the best account. Like, you want to talk about one of the best wrestlers ever who had just an enormous gift for gab. It's fucking Dusty Rhodes. There's nobody like him. And I really do think this Hard Times promo is the greatest wrestling promo ever, just simply because it transcends wrestling, right? And I think these moments where professional wrestling is at its tip-top artistically are those moments where it becomes bigger than wrestling itself, right? A big part of the Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon feud wasn't just, Stone Cold was a beer drinker and was flipping birds and was the coolest guy on television. It did have an underlying sort of story of a blue-collar worker kind of taking it to the man, right? Which at that time in the 90s, with the way America was going and our economic and political discourse, like, there was an underbelly of that was kind of coming up to the surface. And this Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair and what would eventually become the Four Horsemen, same kind of thing, right? A blue-collar worker going up against the elite of society and really taking it to them. And at parts, if you've never watched this Hard Times promo before, or if it's been a while, I encourage you to go watch it again.
Yeah, it's only about 3.5 minutes.
It's 3 minutes, and he hits on everything, right? He's the perfect babyface in this promo. He thanks the fans. He thanks the organization. He pulls it outside of wrestling and pulls it back to people, Ric
Flair put hard times on my family.
The computer, the auto workers. And then at times he takes on the like of a Baptist preacher, right? Reach out your hand and come with me, right? The love that you've given me, I'm going to give back to you. I'm going to win this World Heavyweight Championship for both of us. It's fantastic stuff, man. And it's art. I don't know what else to say other than it is art.
I wrote down my favorite line was when he was talking about, people getting fired from jobs and hard times and this, that, and the other. He says, he's talking about one of the factory workers that's worked at the job for 30 years. You give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, a computer took your place, daddy.
Yeah, that's hard times.
That's hard times.
And just, the spoken word, the hitting over the chorus of hard times over and over and over again. Like any good babyface, he brings it back to the fans, It's not about him in that moment. It's about all the fans, right? The World Heavyweight Championship doesn't belong to Dusty. It doesn't belong to Ric Flair. It belongs to the fans. And he's going to bring it back to where it belongs, back to those fans of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. And so, yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic stuff. And Dusty, so influential to a lot of guys. And is really missed, I think, in wrestling. We really don't have. Racking my brain right now, I guess the closest thing to Dusty Rhodes would be an Eddie Kingston right now. This kind of underdog, blue collar type persona that doesn't look like an athlete, doesn't look like the modern day wrestler. Even Dusty mentions that in Hard Time. He said, my belly's just a little too big, my hiney just a little too big, but I'm bad, and they know I'm bad. Like that, I think there's room for that character in wrestling again. I think that we both have hoped Eddie Kingston kind of fulfills that role, and I think he has the skill set to do it. Now, whether he gets the platform to do it is another thing entirely. But yeah, if you've never seen Hard Times promo, or just have familiarized yourself with Dusty Rhodes, go back and watch a bunch of his matches are on Peacock. He really ran through the 80s with him versus Flair and the Horsemen was sort of the defining feud for the National Wrestling Alliance in the 80s. And so whether it's their cage match or I think there's a couple bull rope matches in there between him and Arn Anderson, him and Tully. Great stuff from Dusty Rhodes. One of the best ever.
So before we get out of here, hit on the thing about the Miz that you wanted to talk about that you forgot.
Oh, yes. It was perfect. Monday Night Raw. So I told you a couple weeks ago, the two things that really got me interested in WWE again was Sami Zayn and Dexter Lumis. Well, Johnny Gargano had a just absolutely fantastic segment on Monday Night Raw that was so comical, where Byron Saxton is basically playing the role of this 60 Minutes reporter, and they did the whole get up, where how in 60 Minutes where the reporter will sit on the stool and intro the package in front of the little book thing.
Yeah.
They did that. And Johnny Gargano basically laid out this whole feud perfectly, where he was like, hey, Miz is a celebrity. He wanted a celebrity stalker. He found Dexter Lumis, which is why, their first sort of interactions together were just glances. And then he was like, look at him here when he chokes him, like Miz is going with it. He's like, but then the Miz stopped paying Dexter, so now Dexter's legitimately pissed off, and that's why the Miz is attacking him, because Dexter wants his money. He just laid it all out perfectly. All these questions that we had about how were we going to wrap up this story? When were we going to get the actual truth about what's happening? And they wrote it perfectly, and logically it makes all sense. Where you watch the package and you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. So just again talking about making it make sense, connecting all the dots, just absolutely wonderful stuff, and from everyone involved: Miz, Lumis, Gargano, Byron Saxton. This is a great use of Byron Saxton. So I hope that they keep this little thing of him going forward, where he plays like this super serious journalist and WWE investigates. They need to keep that going because it was great stuff.
Love it. Well, if you don't already, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Alabama Slam Pod. Patrick's kind of taking over the Twitter and doing a good job with that, keeping some tweets out during the week. Way smarter about shit than I am. So give us a follow there, and follow the Alabama Take on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. It's sort of our network of guys and girls that we work with. We've got several podcasts going over there, and people writing every week. Patrick wrote another wrestling piece last week on the site, and me and some of my best friends in the world released another episode of our Star Wars podcast this week. It's called We Are a Star War, and we recapped episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Andor on Disney+. So yeah, give us a follow, Twitter, Instagram, at Alabama Slam Pod. And review us on Apple Podcasts. Please rate and review us. Give us stars and the actual review. I don't know if I've ever actually said that part before, but type some shit out that you love it, you think it's great, all that shit, and that'll help us move up the ranks in Apple and get more people listening and following along. And we will see you guys again next week. I'm sure we'll touch on Crown Jewel.
We'll hit some Crown Jewel stuff. I'm sure there'll be some more development between Sami Zayn and MJF has to be on the program next week, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll hit on that too.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, I guess. Who fucking knows?
And just keep the APB out there for Ricky Starks. Maybe he's somewhere. I don't know. He's clearly still looking fly on Instagram.
That's our next shirt is Who's Seen Ricky?
Who's seen Ricky?
Who's seen Ricky? Where's Ricky at, y'all? All right, appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all next week.
See you.